It's currently January the 10th, 2026, and if you have not been watching Stranger Things or knowing what's going on with Stranger Things right now, then you seriously need to grab your pen, grab your paper, and we're going to have a little class today about what is happening with Stranger Things. It is blowing my mind how much it is blowing up on social media, especially on TikTok. Like, if you've not heard of Conformity Gate, we need to have a class that's going to get put in session right now because I am a huge Stranger Things fan, if you didn't know. And obviously the final, well, what people think is the finale, came out on New Year's Day. Now, there's so much mixed feelings out there in the Stranger Things community about whether it's just bad writing from the Duffer Brothers and the Netflix producers, or if there is something else coming. Now, I'm going to have to grab my tea for this because this is some tea. They obviously released a statement, must have been about 3 or 4 days ago now, basically saying that they are posting a behind the scenes kind of film documentary on the 12th of Jan. Now, that is in 2 days' time. That is on Monday. When this podcast goes live, it will be on Monday. So if something happens in this behind the scenes episode that is getting released by Netflix on Monday, I'm going to do an extra segment on the day to come on and talk about it if there's something to talk about, because it's been something that has been spoken about ever since New Year's Day and it's made me go crazy. So today's episode, I mean, shock horror, it's all about Stranger Things because I'm obsessed with it. And, you know, the fact that there could be a potential fake ending and something else is going to happen in the background. I mean, it might happen, it might not. I kind of gave up after Conformity Gate on the 7th of Jan. So that was on Thursday morning. We all kind of thought we were going to wake up to a new episode, or maybe even a few newer episodes with an S on the end. But that didn't happen. So there's always going to be a slight little question mark over whether something else is going to happen. Let me put my cup of tea down. That is where we're currently at with Stranger Things. And do you know what? I'll go back into the previous kind of episodes of the season because season 5 was good. I thought the first 4 episodes were amazing. Like, I could not take my eyes off the screen. I was glued to it, and I feel like the storylines were really, really good. Loads of crazy things happened. I did feel like my expectations were quite high with the last 4 episodes, especially the finale. And don't get me wrong, I thought the first hour was brilliant, you know, with the big fight going into the abyss and stuff like that. But I do think the fight was over, and then when I paused the TV, it said there was still 46 minutes left. And I thought, what on earth can you do in 46 minutes that's going to be, you know, engaging, that's going to make me want to watch it? And it was just, I get that they were trying to say goodbye in nice ways to like the different characters and trying to close up those ends of the story, but I just found quite a disconnect from it. I felt like a lot of the endings weren't what I would have wanted for those characters. And yeah, I just think everything was a bit strange. And I think that's why a lot of people were saying it's probably a fake ending. I mean, if it's not a fake ending, then I feel really, really bad for anyone that had any take or any part in writing season 5, because that must suck big time. But I feel like this is a common thing when it comes to a really, really good series that has been like one of the best series in a long time. Taking Stranger Things, for example, but then looking back at previous things like Game of Thrones. Lost, for example, my mum was saying to me that when she watched Lost, of all those like seasons, she absolutely loved it. She was obsessed with it. And then the final episode came out and she was really disappointed. And then obviously Game of Thrones, I loved Game of Thrones. I'm still trying to persuade Nathan to watch it because he's not very fantasy driven, and I'm trying to change that. I'm not change it, but I'm trying to sprinkle a bit of Stranger Things here and there and stuff that I like because I'm obsessed with it. But with Game of Thrones, the same sort of thing. The ending was just bad and it was boring, and we wanted something more with Cersei. Like, she deserved a lot more than what she got. And the way she died was quick, easy, simple, and she deserved a slow and painful death as one of the most hated characters in the whole of Game of Thrones. She got off really easy. And I feel like, is this just a thing when it comes to like incredible films or series? Do people just give up, or do they actually think they're writing a good ending? I don't get it. So I really hope that is not the same with Stranger Things, because I am really passionate about Stranger Things, if you can't guess that. And I just think there's a few too many coincidences that don't make sense to me, and I can't get my head around it. And as a show, Stranger Things is very much like about in the mind and your mind playing tricks on you, like Vecna, or things not adding up, and things being a bit disorientated and the upside down, and actually it wasn't what we thought. It was actually a wormhole to another dimension, and there's all these things that you think it's one thing but it's the complete opposite or something completely different. And I just think the ending should be that too. Like, I can't see the Duffer Brothers or any other production team that is involved in it to make a bad ending. And that's not meaning to say that it was a terrible ending and really, really bad, but I do think they could have done better. With 5 seasons of incredible writing, how can you get it so wrong in the last couple episodes? I don't understand that. So I'm really, really hoping that today, because it's Monday today technically, I hope that the behind the scenes films come out and things are making a bit more sense, and we're going to know a bit more of something. And obviously they're sat back watching this whole week of Conformity Gate and fake ending. If you've been on TikTok last week, it was crazy. Like, you would type in fake ending onto a TikTok post about Stranger Things, and an animation of like Elle, Mike and Dustin would pop up in the comment section. And I think something as well, if you typed in D&D, it rolled a 7 or rolled an 11 or something like that. And that was the thing, like, there were so many things that TikTok was doing, things that Netflix was posting. For example, they posted a door and it had like Netflix 2, and no one could understand it. And it's Netflix 2 is obviously, no one knows what it is yet. And I requested to follow it and it hasn't accepted me. And I'm like, well, I want to know what's on Netflix 2. And then a few posts later, it was the door closed. And yeah, I have a funny feeling that's got something to do with it, but I don't understand why it's private, why that account is private and why Netflix is posting it. So, and then also Netflix posted this kind of ad that looked like people are saying is like a young Joyce for what's next. And then the date was the 7th of Jan. So I feel like because people were, clutching on to the 7th of January, and that being like a Christmas for Russian, or that's the Russian Christmas. So people thought, the dark Christmas that the Duffer Brothers were referring to was actually this Christmas, but it might have just been normal Christmas all along. And then there's a lot of things to say that like we're being deceived, and there's like nothing is as it seems, and I don't believe in coincidences. And even the last episode, when all like everyone was around the D&D table and they were talking about, I believe, that Elle didn't die. And then there's the whole thing with, the books on the bookshelf, or, their pages that they were playing with. And then they got in a different order, and it says like X is a lie, which is like what they call the abyss as well, the other dimension. So there's a lot of things that don't make sense. And I'm going to be so annoyed if they turn around and don't say anything at all, because the fact that they're not saying anything, to me, I get it, because they want to leave that sort of fascination and also a question mark in your head. Like, they don't want us to know everything. Otherwise, there's no room for the imagination, like there has been the whole season. So I do think there's going to be something that's going to come out on this behind the scenes 2-hour-long film or whatever about why we're all so confused, why the dial on the 2 different scenes in, I think, in the finale or the episode before, why they were different colours. Why, Holly even mentioned, oh, the roundabout was a different colour when she was with Max. She was like, it wasn't grey, it was yellow. So are they trying to tell us that when things are different colours in the dreamland, in the mind, then that means that you're in Vecna's mind, or Vecna's in your mind, and it's not real? And people are saying that Mike is the one that's under Vecna's spell right now, and I do believe it. And I rewatched the whole of season 5 because I was like, I need to like go with it with a really fine tooth comb or toothpick, however you say it. And I feel like Netflix and the Duffer Brothers are very clever and smart, because I think a lot of people have rewatched season 5. And you got to think, like, when you watch something that you love and it's the very last, season, do you really go back and watch that season again within the first week? No, you don't. I was even thinking this about Game of Thrones. You just didn't do it. I think one time I've rewatched the whole of Game of Thrones, but that's from like the start to the finish. And I love that, and I will do that again at some point. But with Stranger Things, a lot of people, I think, within this last week have gone back and watched the season. Now, that is very smart. That's obviously going to add their watch hours and is sparking inquisitiveness. And even for people that don't even like Stranger Things or don't watch it or have never watched it or never even heard of it, now it's getting put on their radar. And that in itself is really smart as well, because there's probably going to be a lot of people that's going back to the other episodes and watching them from the start. So yeah, people are inquisitive and people want to know what people are talking about. So if that was me and I never watched Stranger Things and I saw this whole Conformity Gate thing, I would think, why is everyone going crazy right now? Like, it's just a show. It must be good. So I would watch it because of that. So they are really, really smart in that sense. But the fact they're not telling us, their fans, what's going on is really frustrating me. So I really hope today we're going to get some answers. And I might you might even see me again, just like not, with no makeup on and just jumping on and doing a little segment, because I will just probably hold my camera and plug in my mic if I need to do something last minute. I might have to. It might be a huge breakthrough and something happens. Or they might have absolutely pulled the rug from underneath us and nothing was there the whole time and they thought they did a fantastic finale and we are just left wondering what's just happened and what's happened for the past 10 years. So it's going to be very, very, very interesting. I really hope there's something there because I love this. I love the fact that everyone's so into it. And I just love Stranger Things. I love the story. I love the characters. I love anything sort of sci-fi thriller related. And they do say that there's a lot of similarities with maybe, I think, Freddy Krueger, how the seventh film of that was like the behind the scenes. And then also like he was coming out in the scenes and like attacking people. So he wasn't like a fictional character anymore. He was actually real. And they're trying to say that that might be a thing for this one, like where it's behind the scenes, but then he actually, like Vecna would come out as real. And maybe that will go into and tie into future episodes. I don't know. And I have heard they want to do a spin-off as well. And I'm like, I get that, but also at least just tell us now that there is nothing else coming out, guys. Just confirm it to us so we're not going crazy. And then we can actually look forward to potential spin-offs in the future. But for me, I mean, I'm not in the film industry, but you can't really let people wait for too long because Conformity Gate happened like 7 days after because everyone thought that was the date that we were going to get new episodes. That didn't happen. So after that, I think it's died down a little bit. Obviously, there's some like theories throwing out there for the thing that's coming out today, which is the 12th of Jan, the behind the scenes stuff. But if nothing comes out then, I think it will just continue to decline. So realistically, you want to keep the fire burning. So you need to give the people something, even if it's like a little slither of, I don't know, a date, even just a date of watch out for this date, then it just gives people hope. And that's not what they've done so far. They've just put a massive question mark over every single thing. And that's what is driving people insane. That's what's driving me insane. So who knows? I really hope there is something because I was really confused on the last episode and I do think it's something to do with Mike. I really do. And with it, like when it comes to the end scene of like the fight and stuff and Elle, you know, it was way past that actually when Elle left when the Upside Down got blown up and thrown out into the wormhole into space and the whole thing went dark and then you could hear like a heart thump, sort of like Vecna's heart thump when he was in the Beast, right? And then you hear the clock ticking. So it's kind of like Mike might be trapped somewhere and Vecna's got him in his mind trapped. And obviously the whole thing with the graduation at the end when they were all like holding their hands like this, looking all weird. And yeah, there's even a cameraman person that was like filming the graduation and it had a t-shirt saying Duffers on it. And I'm like, does that have something to do with the behind the scenes stuff that's coming out on the Monday? Are they kind of teasing us with like the behind the scenes? I don't know. There's something there. And the fact that I don't know what, it drives me insane. It's sort of like I love sci-fi and I love things to do with aliens and random stuff like that. But I just need to know. I feel like I need to know if things exist. I need to know things that happened. I'm very much a control freak. And that's probably a bit of my Virgo kind of tendencies coming out. But I need to know. And when I don't know, I'm like, it drives me mad. It drives me mad. So as long as we're told something, I'm happy, you know. And Do you have any theories about this? Because I can't be the only one going crazy here. I need someone to vent to. And I feel like I did a few TikTok videos of just funny things like going to bed and hopefully waking up to some episodes tomorrow. Obviously, that didn't happen, but I never really expressed my views on it, talking to camera, as I am now. But yeah, I didn't really want to jump on the bandwagon too much with that. I actually found I was consuming a lot of content and it was making me stir crazy. Like I was obsessed to the point where Nathan was like, "You need to start watching those videos," and I was like, "Yeah, I know, I do." I was, I was because I was hoping for it. I was really, really hoping, and because I obviously love the show, I would love there to be a secret episode. That would be insane. It would be iconic and it would go down in history forever. And I bet they're kicking themselves now if they haven't done that to think, why didn't we think of that? But if they have, which hopefully we're going to find out soon, then it's going to be amazing. So I just think this whole scenario, even though we didn't get what we wanted with Conformity Gate, I think it's going to spark a lot of inspiration for future series and episodes. And I love that. I think even some things don't have to be real, some things don't have to happen the way we want them to, but it will spark creativity in other things, which I think is going to be good. So if they don't do the secret like finale or the secret episode and that was the actual finale, then yeah, someone's going to steal that idea and definitely use it for something else because the fans were just incredible at even suggesting that and even seeing people's detective work, like looking for things in the episodes and picking things out. There was things that I didn't even realize, but they were definitely teasing us. Netflix on their social media page, even the Stranger Things pages, they have been teasing us with stuff. So if they don't actually do anything, then I think that's a bit mean, don't you? I feel like that's a bit harsh on the fans that have been hardcore fans for like 10 years. So yeah, I think they can't leave us hanging. I really hope they don't. And I feel like because the Duffer Brothers are quite creative writers, I can't see them leaving us in the dark. I feel like there is something going on, but they just can't say anything. And I've seen a few, interviews with some of the cast members here, there, and everywhere, and they're not really saying anything about it. And even the guy that plays Vecna, I feel so bad that I can't remember his name, but the guy that plays, is it Noah? No, that's Will. I can't remember his name. Anyways, the guy that plays Vecna, he went on the Jimmy Falcon show. Is that his name? Jimmy Falcon? Something like that. And he did like a fake kind of like exercise video saying like, and tomorrow it begins. And I think this was on the 6th of Jan, talking about the 7th. And I'm like, you can't do that to us. But the way he was like talking about it, he was like dancing like, right, here we go. And squeeze and push and squeeze. And it was like, open the door, close the door, open the door. It was really weird. And the two, like, I think it was Jimmy and someone else behind him, but one was dressed like Holly and one was dressed like Derek. Yes, so Holly and Derek. So Jimmy was dressed like Derek and someone else was dressed like Holly. I don't know who she was. So for me, I'm like, that is kind of pointing to the fact that it's still happening and maybe they haven't defeated Vecna. Because the whole battle itself was a bit odd. I don't know if anyone else thought that, but I thought the battle was very easy. I thought Vecna didn't really do anything wrong. There was no huge surprise deaths where I feel like in finales there usually are. There's something that leaves the audience going like, oh my God. But, I just think we needed something else and Vecna dying was good, but I feel like something else should have happened in the fight. There was no like demo dogs or nothing, which was weird because apparently they're supposed to live there. And also the actual abyss itself, like the planet, looked warm. So surely Vecna doesn't like warm stuff. Like even looking at the demo dogs, to get rid of those or to defeat them, you need fire, or fire does help, right? And it hurts them. So how can they live in a hot place and be fine? I don't get that. It sounds to me like they need it, like even when Will was in the Upside Down and Vecna got to him, or the Mind Flayer, but like he eventually, when he came back to the real world, he was always cold and he was like, oh, he likes it cold. So it's like, well, how is that possible if he's on a different planet? So I'm wondering now, like, is the Mind Flayer on a different planet to Vecna? Because I actually don't think the Beast was the Mind Flayer, because the Mind Flayer was the black kind of fog or stuff that came out the kids when they came out of the tube stuff, that went up and disappeared. So I feel like, again, that big beast was just a vessel. I think even when Henry had his first, interaction with the the mind flayer, the whatever it was, the exotic matter, he the mind flayer that spoke to him was like a cloud, so it wasn't actually a thing. So for me, the darkness of that dark smoke is the mind flayer, not the beast itself. Does that kind of make sense? So that's how I feel like there is definitely going to be something more, because the thing just like went up and disappeared. So how that's going to transpire into future episodes or a spin-off series, I don't know. But you heard it here first, that the mind flayer is not destroyed or defeated. But Vecna, he obviously, his physical body could be destroyed. And if that's the case, I do think his mind would be too. Because surely you got to look at, for example, Max, who was in a coma and her mind was still alive in Vecna's mind. But if her body was to die, which the demo dogs went after, if her body did die, then her mind would have died too in Vecna. Does that make sense? So for me, if Vecna's body died, then his mind would have to die too, right? There's loads of theories and loads of things that it could be, but I'm not too sure. It needs to be something. Duffer Brothers and Netflix, just give us something and we'll be happy, okay? It's an amazing series and I recommend everyone to go and watch it because it was really, really good. You really get to know the characters, you get to know the plot. There's so many twists and turns, which is, I love twists and turns when it comes to series and films. I feel like now films, they're going to really struggle to get, big, impactful storylines, because when it comes to a series, you can split things up into series and then episodes. Whereas one long film, it could be done in an hour and a half. You need it to be enticing. Like, people just love series now, like me. I think if there's ever going to be anything that comes close to Stranger Things, it needs to come soon, because I am bored and I need something to like direct my attention to, because without Stranger Things and there now being no more, episodes, it's a sad time. I don't know what to do with myself. I really don't. And that is actually quite embarrassing, but what can I do? I'm going to have to actually do stuff with my life and not let it take over my life. So yeah, if you're also a Stranger Things fan, let me know your thoughts and your theories, because I feel like there's so many out there, and even by today we might already know what's happened. So I'm really excited for the release of the behind the scenes. Hopefully we get some more information. You might see me again soon. I don't know whether I will jump back on. It depends how exciting the behind the scenes stuff is on the Monday. So if there is something worth jumping on the podcast for, I will, before I actually release this. Obviously, that's going to be at 11 a.m. So it might be an early morning and I might have bags under my eyes and my glasses still on. So you'll have to bear with me if that's the case. So yeah, we will have to wait and see, but love Stranger Things and I hope you love this episode. It's a little bit different to my usual stuff because this is a very current thing and I'm obsessed with Stranger Things. So I thought, what's better time than to actually talk about something that I love and something that is very widely talked about right now. There's loads of things flying around. So I thought I would jump on and share my thoughts about it. So we shall see what the future of Stranger Things does. Whatever they do, I'm sure it's going to be amazing. I really hope you enjoyed the episode with me today. And like I said, drop me a comment if you are also a Stranger Things fan. We have to stick together and share our craziness together. So have a wonderful rest of your day and I will speak to you very soon.